you know, he's a fighter,
Yeah.
and his spirits are strong, and his attitude about metal is as strong as ever. He's putting down ideas for the next Priest album.
Oh, that's
So
amazing. Yeah.
he's a busy man. Yeah,
That's good. They got to keep busy or else it'll eat you alive. You know what I'm saying? That's what keeps you.
absolutely. Yes. And he's always had that kind of get up and go attitude anyway. So this is nothing new to the Glenn that I've known for most of my life, but to be still maintaining that kind of essence while he's going through his challenges with Parkinson's. He's just a real, he's a gold star hero in that respect.
He's a fighter. Yeah.
He's a fighter. He
Yeah.
absolutely is.
All right, let's get started here. All right, everybody, the time is 6:01. We're joined here live on Animal House Radio with the metal god himself, Rob Halford. And joining me is my wingman tonight, Steve Killer Keller. Rob is in the house tonight. He's a great friend of the show, always steps up for us, especially when it comes to our servicemen and women. And he's got a new book out, and it's nothing short of spectacular. Please welcome back on Animal House Radio, Mr. Rob Halford.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, good to see you guys again. What's up? Good to be with the Forces Network. I love you guys, and especially what you guys do with Animal House, keeping everybody in the military connected with everything that we do in heavy metal and rock and roll. You guys are real heroes for that, and we appreciate it.
We're just humble servants, Rob, just just like yourself.
Yeah, we're all servants to metal, rock and roll in that respect. That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rob, the book just came out. Rob Halford confessed, the autobiography, and we're already getting a tremendous amount of feedback from our servicemen and women overseas, especially in the Middle East. So Priest is in the Middle East, and they're loving the book so far.
Hey, that's great. I know you guys around the world. We can't thank you enough for what you do for us. And hey, it's cool. This is a great thing. All this Zoom stuff, it's kind of new to me because I'm an old metalhead.
Right.
But I appreciate that this is a spectacular way to reach out virtually and thank everybody for all the great work that they're doing around the planet.
When this terrible COVID hit, we said, you know what, let's, phoners are great. And, when you can hear people on the phone, but I said, why don't we bring the faces, the recognizable faces out and let them experience it for themselves and see it. And I think it helps to ease a lot of the anxiety that everybody's going through. If they could spend a couple of minutes seeing Rob Halford,
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And
it's
I've
a
been
learning
saying,
curve.
Yeah, I've been saying so many times through these Zooms that I've been doing that as we all go through this pandemic together, this is a beautiful way of connecting. I mean, we've got the texts and we've got the emails and we've got the phone calls and everything, but to actually see each other's faces and to capture the emotions visually is a really useful thing to do. So great, one of the great aspects of technology in this instance. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like I was just saying, it's a learning curve for all of us because of the COVID. This is sort of the new norm.
It is. And we've all adapted. It's just the way humanity has this great capacity to adapt to the circumstances that we find ourselves in. So it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
Well,
may I jump into the book?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, sure do.
Well, I noticed immediately, of course, because it's at the beginning.
Yeah.
We have a disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's basically a few names and other identifying details.
Yeah.
May have been changed to protect the innocent and maybe the guilty.
Yeah. Well, this is we've all got beautiful friends in our lives, and when they're included in a very public way like this, I think it's just a common courtesy to be respectful and to give them an alias. My friends who are in this book know who they are, and it's been with their approval, which is important. But there are certain things that have happened to me in my life with certain people that if I don't put them in the book, then the book is incomplete.
Right.
A true memoir, a true autobiography really should strip you down to the bare bones, which is exactly what Confess has done for me.
Yeah. Rob, people have been after you for so many years to hey, put out your memoirs. And what was it? What was it about the timing that finally made you do it now?
Yeah, it's all about getting the heavy metal miles under the heavy metal bullet belt, isn't it? The Lemmy bullet belt.
Yeah.
We have to go through a lot of stuff before we feel we've accumulated a volume of life experiences that may have some value to share. And that's why I waited until now. I was approached in my 40s by various book publishing companies to consider making this book. And I said, no, I'm going to wait, And as I slowly inch towards my 7th decade next year, I can't wait to be 70. The time felt right. The time felt right. And of course, they say every cloud has a silver lining. In this respect, as we're all hunkered down with COVID, what better way to kind of while away the hours in a day here or there with a great book, a great read.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob, coming out for you was a very brave and a very courageous decision. And, it's amazing because, it's not, and when you finally did, everybody embraced it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Which is not
That's
always
right.
the case for some others. And I think,
Yes.
maybe because of the line of work you're in, it's kind of the
Yes.
exception to the rule. They said, yeah, so what? He's still an awesome performer.
Yeah. It's like our great heroes in the military who for the longest time had to live with don't ask, don't tell. The fact is that who you are as a person with your sexual identity really shouldn't have any bearing whatsoever on the work that you do.
Right.
And so that's how it was for me. But in at the time of my growth with this great heavy metal band, Judas Priest, there was an awful amount of homophobia, which there still is in certain parts of the world today. I was reading a report today that members of the LGBTQ community are 4 times likely to be involved with violent crime, and that's a horrible thing, the way that we're attacked. But the 70s, the 80s, which I always thought was a little bit odd because some of the bands were very androgynous in the 80s, but it was a very kind of macho man, alpha male kind of environment, and there was thought on everybody's part, including myself, that by coming out there could have been some damage done. Of course, later on, when I did come out, I experienced what I should have been aware of anyway, which is that the heavy metal community collectively embraces unconditional love. We accept everybody, you know, doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, how much money you got, what kind of house you live in, the car you drive, the color of your skin, your religion, whatever. It doesn't matter, you know. So that was a beautiful moment for me to experience that firsthand, especially with some of the messages that I got back from fans around the world.
Yeah, I like the fact that, you had struggled with the decision a bunch of times over your life. Should I come out? And I think from the book you said, priest is the most important thing in your life, and you're not ready to jeopardize that yet, just over your sexuality as of yet.
Yeah, and the thing about being in the closet is that you end up kind of putting yourself second and everybody else first, which, it's all about family first in life. And so it's family, it's friends, it's people that are close to you, it's your workmates. And you tend to put yourself in this difficult place where you're kind of looking after everybody else, but you're not looking after yourself. I've always said, as I grew older, I suddenly realized you've got to learn to love yourself and live with yourself, and then you can spread that out everywhere else.
Absolutely. Steve, did you have a question?
No, but Rob already hit on when he was talking about the reception that he got from the fans and the public in general.
Right.
The heavy metal community, the rock and roll community we're all such loner, like we all come from backgrounds, but we come together as one.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a million misfits.
Right.
That's a great thing. I'm gonna trademark a T-shirt with I'm a million misfit. Although I don't know whether Danzig would agree with that. But anyway, yeah, it's true. heavy metal's been kicked around like a football over the decades, hasn't it, guys? With the so-called Rodney Dangerfield, get no respect.
Right. But we're still here.
But we're still here, and whenever you get that kind of pushback at you as a person or as a group, it makes you stronger. It brings you tighter together, and that's what we're about in heavy metal. We support each other. We look out for each other. We get together at shows. Please God, I'm dying to get back on stage.
I know it must be
nuts.
like for you.
We're going nuts, man.
I mean,
All
the way you're on stage, you're like a ball of fire. So that must be like for you to have to just stop like that's got to be rough.
Well, we would be in the downtime pattern right now anyway, guys, because we finished that fantastic Firepower tour. Thank you, everybody out there, for getting into that record and coming to see us. So this would be kind of a time where we would be making new music, which we are. We did have some great writing sessions before March, suddenly happened and the world shut down. So we've already got some great ideas for the next Priest album, and we're virtually knitting bits and pieces of it together as we move along.
It seems to be the norm nowadays, unfortunately. Now, when you started to write this book and you had was it painful for you to rehash some of this stuff?
Yeah, it was because look, I'm not unique here, guys. Everybody's had some incidents in their life that were very dark and challenging, and that's what life's all about. Life isn't row your boat gently down the stream. It's always had rapids and sometimes whirlpools and waterfalls, and we always come out at the other side, don't we? Everybody's got a story to tell, whether it's something that's happened to them or a family member or a close friend or a work friend or whatever, and so again, because I wanted to put everything on the table, it was important for me to include these life incidents that were tough, and it was tough digging them up out to the graveyard, because we was trying to bury these things. And it's not really a good thing to do, guys. You've got to speak it out. I'm a big advocate for mental health, and mental health is talking things out. If you're feeling bad, if you've got something on your mind, find a friend to talk things over with, And so in that respect, a lot of the elements of this book were very cathartic for me as a person. I was able to kind of not only readdress them, because I thought I'd buried them for good and I hadn't, but to actually want to talk that out in the pages of Confess, and especially on the audio book, because that's my voice you're hearing on the audio book, was valuable to me, and I'm glad that I did it that way.
It must have been a tremendous weight off your shoulder to finally get that all out, though, huh?
Yeah, and some of us do it in private, some of us do it amongst a close bunch of friends. But look, my life has been made for me by my glorious metal maniacs, my millions of metal maniacs around the world. This is for them, This is for them. It's also for anybody else outside of metal that might be interested in this guy's life story. So I think there's a mutual respect and caring and understanding for each other that we have. And a lot of those experiences are in the book and on the pages of Confess.
Yeah, I just got my copy last week, and I've been trying to read it. I can't put it down, but I'm trying to make time to read it. And I mean, for anybody who has not read this book, let me just explain to you, just from the introduction alone, it makes you want to say, okay, what happens next? You want to take that journey. And that's the most important thing. And what I found interesting too is, I mean, this is not just for Priest fans. This is for anybody that wants to hear a genuine story. And one of the other things I notice is that, and fans and other people do, they just don't want to know about the good times. They want to know about the times where it wasn't so well. They don't want to just see about the good old days. They want to know, about the bad times too. And I think that's a very interesting dynamic when it comes to a reader or a fan.
Yeah, we love our metal. We love our rock and roll because it's escapism, isn't it? The irony is that we go to metal shows, we go to all kinds of music shows just to let rip and just to have a great time and to forget our troubles and to party and go crazy, and that's how it'll always be. That's part of its intent. But for a fact, as I said, that again, I'm not anybody special. I never thought I was.
Oh, you're the metal god. You are.
No, dude. I know I'm the metal god, but in terms of in terms of me on a human level, I'm just like
Right.
everybody else.
Right.
And I think that the other thing is, guys, that for someone like myself, that there was, and even now inevitably will be, the unauthorized autobiography of Rob Halford. And I've never really been a fan of that kind of thing,
Right.
because it's just, you know, a little bit of an interview here and a little bit of an interview there and a bit of gossip here and a bit of gossip there.
Right.
And it's not truthful, it's not factual. And in my life journey, as I continue one day at a time as a sober person, truth and honesty is vital to me, you know,
Right.
which is the other reason why it wasn't easy, but the stuff that was coming out of my mouth and my head were coming from a place that could only have been made able by me staying clean and sober. Because when you're battling addictions, you're a liar. You lie all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you put yourself in a really bad place. So that's one of the great joys of recovery.
Yeah, and you did it. You overcome it, and you know, and from the little bit I was able to read so far, I kind of like had compassion for you, because you know, coming out as a gay man, and then you know, when you wanted to find intimacy with somebody, it wasn't just like when you see a girl backstage and you go, okay, let's go back to my hotel room. It wasn't that easy for you. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I did some very dangerous things. I talk about some of the sexual escapades in my life. Some of them are funny, some of them are shocking, some of them are sad. You know, it was. We all need to be loved, and we are all loved, whether we like it or not, because there's somebody that loves us 24 hours a day. But as far as trying to find the physical, intimate experience with somebody for the best part of my life, I wasn't able to do that, and that's just trouble right there, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you resort to doing things that are quite dangerous, and in one instance, with the STD that I got for hepatitis, it was life threatening. So this is another part of being in the closet, that you're denying yourselves parts of being a person, particularly in the physical sense and the intimate sense, that you have every right to experience.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I found interesting was 1981, Point of Entry was your seventh studio album. I think it was released February in 1981. And if I'm misquoting you, please let me know. You had quoted that you felt that Priest dropped the ball on that album, and I was kind of surprised to hear that, because you had three really big commercial hits on there, and 81 was the birth of MTV. So I mean, it was perfect timing if you think about it. Why did you feel that you guys dropped the ball on that album?
I think what I meant by that expression was the way that a record should have a way of connecting from track to track to track, and have a thread going through it that really makes an album not conceptual, but gives it its identity, its character, its own legs, in a kind of formative experience musically. And I thought that some of the songs on Point of Entry particularly went a little bit left field, because I won't say that we were struggling, but those were the songs that we came up with in the time that we were given. Because again, guys, if you look at a certain period of Priest's life, we were literally making a record every year. We were making a record every year, and then we were going out on a world tour. We'd come home, we'd go out for a year, we'd come home, we'd have like maybe a week to catch our breath, and then we'd have to go in the studio to start writing another album. So, and that's what you do when you're a band that's in exponential growth. You've got to keep the metal furnaces roaring. So again, it's not exclusive to Priest. All bands have records that push forward a little bit more than others, and some that are maybe a little bit lackluster. I've never felt that Priest has made a lackluster album, but what I mean by that is that again, just putting Point of Entry against Painkiller, it's almost like two different bands, right? It is the same band,
Right.
But there's an example of the way that your music can shift and shape.
You know, you mentioned the Firepower tour before,
Yeah.
and I think we were there, Carlo and I, in Newark, New Jersey, when you brought the Firepower tour there. Fantastic show.
Absolutely.
But what I'm getting at is I find Firepower to be, I think it's my favorite Priest album. I was kind of putting it right there with British Steel, but I really, really enjoy Firepower.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. We poured our heart and soul into that record. It's already becoming like a really classic statement for Priest. We've talked before, haven't we, about when bands have had the good grace and support from their fans to have a long life in music.
Yes.
Some of your albums push forward a little bit more than others. And I think we probably had the same intent with making Firepower that we did with Painkiller, in the way that there was a need in the search to make a great record, a really, really strong, potent record, almost like saying, like the guys, look what the guys can still do. And I think you set that challenge to yourself internally. We talked about Firepower embracing some of the classic elements of Priest. And if you really listen to the music, you get a little bit of a tinge of something from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. All of these things are brought into that record, especially from production with Andy and Tom and all the other great people that worked on it. So yeah, that's what made Firepower the special album that it is. And now we've got to top it. We've got to do one.
Right.
Now we've got to go one more,
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's what I thought of Firepower. I thought it had classic signature with a newer twist on it. It was heavy, just like we expect, all Priest's music to be. So that being said, Rob, you said, you got to top that. How hard is it now to come out with an even better? Does it get harder each time like that, or?
Yeah, it's best not to think about it, because then you're just going to go around and around in circles, and you get internal disputes and stuff. I think we're confident enough. I mean, look, we've been doing it for so long. That doesn't mean to say it's easy or any easier. But I think we understand, each of us understand, especially the writing team of Glenn and Richie and myself.
Right.
We understand where we need to go and what we need to do. And I tell you, some of these next ideas, they're just, oh my God, I can't begin to explain. I mean, I think we carried the spirit and the great power that our fans gave us as we went around the world nearly 3 times with Firepower. I think we carried that with us back to the studio, back to the writing sessions, because some of these songs that I've got here on my phone, believe it or not, everything's on the phone. They're monsters, and even in the very, very rough primitive stage, they're great. They're really, really good. But as we've always said, guys, Priest just don't bang a few songs together, make a record and run it out. We are meticulous with absolutely everything that we do. And that's probably why we've been around for so long, the fact that we do take such love and care and attention with the work that we create, because we've got this long trail behind us as well, that's supporting us and giving us kind of feedback even now, listening to Rock and Roller, the stuff in there that really inspires you all these decades later.
Yeah, it's amazing career. One of the things I found interesting in the book, Rob, was even though I know the book is focused on your journey, there's very little mention of any of the band in there.
Oh yeah, because this is not about Judas Priest. This is about Rob Halford. The bulk of the book is just about my life experiences. If you want to read some knockoffs about the life of Priest, I can direct you to them right now. Here's the thing. Everybody knows about this band's music. Everybody knows it, in an incredibly precise way, probably more so than we do. The actual relationships that we have with each other in Priest, no matter what the lineup, has always been very private and very respectful.
Right.
We're not you know, the clickbait telltale type of people in this band at all. And I think that's been very useful for us. You know, there's very little dirt to throw around for Judas Priest, but there were those incidents like the Reno trial. You know, some of the things that happened that affected me directly outside of the music are included in the book, because again, that's part of my story.
Right.
But as far as Judas Priest, the autobiography, the memoir, I think that it'll have its moment at some point, because again, it's best to come from the real source, from the people that made it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, going to the book, you know, it was sad to see here that you had, I guess before you cleaned up, you had a suicide attempt and thoughts like that. And
Yeah, that was more to me like a cry for help, because I was actually able to kind of crawl out of the bed and go bang on somebody's door, because I knew what I'd done. You know, guys, we've lost so many beautiful people to suicide, and it's something again that we should keep talking about and talking about. It should always be on the front burner. And not only did I go through that cry for help, but I lost somebody who incidentally was former military, and he took his own life. You know, so I've had the most devastating, intimate experience of suicide with a loved one that you can ever have. So again, I think my voice is clear from experience when I talk about it. But this whole business of suicide, and again, without going too far off the subject, I read something somewhere recently about our friends in the military that are also dealing with these issues. And again, all you can send out is love and care and understanding, and know that there is always somebody there for you to talk to, and to help you as best they can to get you through these dark moments in your life. Because there's always that, you know, the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how bleak, how desperate, how dark, how mean life can be. You know, hope is eternal, and that's part of me as a person. I've always been an eternal optimist. You know, as you can see in this book, I've been through some tough shit, guys, but I came through it.
And what do you know, speaking of that, Rob, what do you attribute to your survival? Was it just pure will and instinct, or?
It's a lot of that, but I think in my, again, I talk openly about my spirituality. I'm a faith-based person, and I think if you're able to make that connection, wow, that's a real life changer.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean by saying everybody's loved. If you feel you're not loved, you are loved, whether you know it or not.
Right.
Someone's loving you, you know.
Right.
And so every day I find comfort in that. I'm surrounded by people that love me. I've got my partner Thomas and my family and my friends and my maniacs and you guys and everybody else. But those moments when you're alone by yourself, you're not truly alone. There's always someone to talk to. That might sound crazy, but I think you know what I mean.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So all of
You know,
that.
we did a show last night on this subject as well. You know,
Okay,
last month was Suicide Awareness Month, and
right.
it's not easy to talk about. You
It's
know,
not. It's
but we
not.
need to bring it out there, and it's very very brave of you to confess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what a name for this book. I mean, of all the names we thought about, you know, I'm not going to call it The Life of the Metal God. I'm not going to call it I am the Metal God,
Right.
because this is more than that. This is deeper than that. This reaches further. And when you say confess, just the statement itself, confess, it immediately sets off things in your mind as far as, you know, the emotional aspect of what confess should mean
Right.
in its truthness and its honesty. To confess is good for you. It's good for the spirit. It's good for the soul, and that's what I'm doing throughout this book.
Now, Rob, two last questions, and we'll let you go. For the Priest fan and someone who is just discovering you for the first time, what is the one thing that when they read this book that you would like them to take away from it?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't think I've been asked that question. I've done so many Zooms, I've lost count. Um, Do you know, I don't think there's anything specifically that I would like to say, read this book and it'll make you feel this way. Read this book and you'll take this away from you. I suppose just that you're getting a closer, intimate, more, again, the word deeper. You're knowing another side of me that you didn't know before. That's basically what we're doing with the book, Confess. Is it going to be of any value? Is it going to be of any interest? I have no idea. I never second guess reaction.
Right.
I never presume, oh, this book's going to go flying off the shelves. This is nothing about that. This is just about me telling you the story of my life, and hoping that you'll find stuff in there that will touch you and that will draw us closer together. Because this book will make you laugh, it'll make you cry, it'll make you angry, it'll make you think.
Yes.
And so Ian Gittings, I got to give a shout out to my guy Ian Gittings. He did a masterful job of sitting with me for like 50, 60 hours or more, and taking my voice and making it work on the pages, so much so that when you read the book, it's like, this is Rob's voice I'm hearing, and that has to be acknowledged through the expertise of Ian Gittings, who worked the book with me.
Well, like I said, this book is nothing short of spectacular, and I think people are going to get inspired by it. And one thing that I think it speaks to more than anything is that don't be afraid of who you are, and you know, and just live your life, you know, in a positive way, you know, and learn from your mistakes.
Oh yeah, I'm all for learning from your mistakes, 100%. I've
Yeah.
never used the word regret in my life because I think that's such a hard, brittle, cold word. Reflection's the best word. And I've made some mistakes in my life and I've learned from them, definitely, 100%. It's in this book. So I
Absolutely.
couldn't agree with you more. Live your life for yourself on your own terms. If you're doing it that way, then you can reach out and connect to everybody else in the truthful, honest way that we do as people.
Yeah, and I'm hoping this pandemic ends soon, because I know next year is a big year for Priest. It's 50th anniversary.
Yeah, we should have
You got a
started
lot of
now. We should be out now, you know. We're
Yeah, I
not.
know.
All of my friends are like twiddling their thumbs or writing records or zooming or whatever.
Zooming.
You know. We're all zooming. We're all zooming.
Zooming.
Guys, it's sorry. What was that?
No, I was just gonna say, I know I could speak for so many that we're all looking forward to see you guys back on
Yes.
stage. And
Yes.
I know you got a lot of great things planned for next year.
Yes.
So we're
We
excited
do.
to.
The stage set's built. You know, we designed it. We've got a colossal stage set. We've got a great show, some great ideas for songs, some of which we've never ever played before. So the party will start, guys. The 50th anniversary for Judas Priest will be starting as soon as it's safe to do so. I really want to thank you for the
Thank you. Thank you,
So,
Rob. As
again,
always, God bless and stay safe. And on behalf of all of us and our men and women, you know you're loved, and you know, we hope to see you soon.
we certainly will. Look after yourselves, guys. Wash your hands.
Absolutely,
Stay
Rob.
6 feet apart from each other. That's difficult for me because I'm a hugger. But
I hear you.
anyway, be good, be safe, stay strong, stay metal. I love you guys, and we'll see you out on the road.
Thank you so much, Rob Halford, everybody.
See ya.